Good evening, everyone. If you are already here, welcome to the WastePro Global Alliance live stream. I want to welcome you all to this August Masterclass. My name is Progress Ofuje Momo, your program and project lead, and I am absolutely honored to be your host for tonight's session. Tonight, we are not just talking about traditional environmental, we are talking about serious untapped opportunity. For a long time, the entire recycling industry has been completely obsessed with just plastic bottles and scrap metal. But while the crowd is focused there, massive wealth is hiding in entirely new, overlooked areas. That is why tonight's theme is waste beyond plastics and metals. We are taking a deep dive into emerging streams like e-waste and the likes. So we are going to uncover how you can tap into this next multi-billion dollar market. And to break this all down for us, we are bringing back a very familiar and highly respected face. Many of you will remember the absolute masterclass he delivered during our April webinar.
Thank you.
Tonight is back by popular demand to take us even further. He is the managing director of Laterrena Worldwide Limited, and with over 25 years of industry leadership behind him, we are indeed in the presence of an expert tonight. So I want everyone to get your notepads ready and eliminate all distractions and get ready for a truly impact-filled session. So on this note, I want to formally invite Dr. Charles to please share with us what he has for us today in regards to today's webinar. Dr. Charles, the digital flow is yours. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Progress. Uh, Thank you, the program coordinator. I want to say special thanks to your team, the team of WastePro Global Alliance. And I equally want to welcome everyone who is part of this monthly webinar, wherever you're viewing and also tuned into from across the globe. This is a monthly webinar being organized by WastePro Global Alliance Foundation. And tonight, we'll be looking at a very important topic, which we have christened waste beyond plastics and metals. Indeed, we're trying to unlock the profitable, recyclable opportunities in emerging waste streams across Nigeria and Africa. My name, just as Progress has said, is Dr. Charles Ekeh. By the grace of God, I'm the Managing Director of Laterrena Worldwide Limited. I'm a petroleum geophysicist. So I'll be your anchorman for today. So I want to thank all of you who have found time to tune in to be part of this monthly webinar, especially this edition. Without much ado, we will go straight to the business of the day. I'd like to run through the outline. Tonight we'll be looking at this all-important topic, waste beyond plastics and metals, in 5 parts. We'll be looking at part 1, which has to do with the challenge. We'll talk about the introduction, the global waste landscape, Nigeria's hidden waste economy. And then we'll move over to the part 2, the opportunity, talking about the emerging waste streams, which if you look at it critically, they are well over more than 14. But for the purpose of this presentation, we'll restrict ourselves to about 4 or 5. And so we'll be looking at agricultural waste opportunities. We'll be looking at the e-waste, which is the electronic waste. We'll also look at the used tires and rubbers, and construction and demolition waste, And then if time permits, we'll go over to textile and fashion waste, glass recycling, and used lubricating oil. Then the part 3, we'll be looking at turning waste into business. There we'll focus on investment potentials across Africa. We'll also look at the technologies driving this emerging recycling. We'll then talk about the business models, especially for entrepreneurs. And we'll move over to part 4, talking about the African experience and the strategy. We'll do the case study from Nigeria, Kenya, Rwanda, South Africa, and of course Ghana. These are the countries we'll be looking at as far as the African, concept is concerned. And then we'll talk about the SWOT analysis, talking about the strengths, the weakness, the opportunities, and the threats, and then the roadmap for Nigeria. Thereafter, the part 4, we will be looking at the future. We'll conclude, and then the call to action. So this is what we'll be looking at today as far as this presentation is concerned. So please, next slide, progress. All right, the introduction will explore the emerging waste streams, just as I said, beyond plastics and metals. Today, so much attention has been given to plastics and metals, and most of us are very conversant with these as major wastes in our society today, and not putting into consideration the other waste streams. And so the purpose of this month's webinar is to open our eyes to other waste streams, just as I've listed them in our on the outline. So we will move down to the how to demonstrate the waste streams, how we can, make money out of it, the opportunities therein, and then we'll highlight technologies. Of course, you cannot handle some of these wastes without deploying a measure of technology. Look at the investment opportunity, and of course, the policy interventions of government. Thereafter, we do a practical strategies for those who probably might want to go into this line of business, particularly in Nigeria, as we transit from where we are today to the circular economy. Don't forget that in our last edition, I did mention that most of us practice what we call linear economy. And so we are transiting from the linear economy to the circular economy. So if you look at the pictures there, they are very clear and showing us the various stages and how wastes are being sorted in their categories and all that. And then the picture on your right side, tells us about the value, that is waiting, the opportunities, the economic opportunities that is actually sitting, waiting for us, those who are interested in this line of business. And so the figure there is $4.5 trillion, in value. That is what is sitting for those who want to go into this line of business. So the question is, how much of this money are you willing to tap from? How much are you prepared to make? And so in summary, we'll be looking at the changing perception of waste, from waste disposal to resource recovery, and of course, waste as an economic opportunity. The next slide, please. Here we will be talking about the global waste landscape. The global waste landscape. The generation of waste globally has risen tremendously due to primarily urbanization. And then industrialization has also contributed to the volume of waste being generated globally. Then another factor that we are also looking at tonight is the population growth. So you look at the urbanization, you also will also talk about the industrialization and then the population growth. So these are the generators of waste. Then we'll be talking about developing economies that are experiencing the fastest increase in municipal and industrial waste. Now, less than 1/5 of global waste is currently being recycled. That's at the global landscape. Less than 1/5 of the global waste is being recycled. So what that means is that you have huge opportunity, very huge opportunity, if you avail yourself of this opportunity. Profit is just by the corner waiting for you. Then waste is increasingly recognized as a valuable secondary resource rather than just a disposal challenge. So that is it. The graph you have there on your left hand side talks about the e-waste generation. If you look at it from the countries we have mentioned before now, you have the first is the South Africa, and that's the figure you're seeing. And then the next is Nigeria. Then we talk about other ones that are there. So looking at South Africa and Nigeria, you see clearly that the e-waste being generated is huge. The e-waste being generated is huge. If you go to organizations like IHS in Lagos, which is in Victoria Island in Lagos, talking about Nigeria now, you will see that e-waste is now the mainstay of most organizations in terms of economy. People who have relationship with this organization can attest to the fact that they have made a whole lot of money, because you either buy and resell, or you buy from them and then recycle. Whichever way, you're sure of making money. If you buy from them for the purpose of reselling, maybe selling to the recyclers, you make money. Or you buy and you want to recycle yourself, you make a whole lot of money. So looking at the global waste landscape is gaining traction, is gaining momentum. People are more aware, people are going into the business, and are making so much money. It's important we place this on record that if you avail yourself the opportunity to invest in this area of business, profit is guaranteed. And so I want to encourage us, as many who are listening, that this line of business is really, really profitable. Please, next slide. Okay, Nigerians' hidden waste economy. I've told us here that rapid urbanization has significantly increased waste generation. That you can't take away from, this. Then the informal recycling sector remains the backbone of resource recovery. I told us last time that they are everywhere in our neighborhood. You hear people come around and tell you, iron kwandem, bring them, I buy them. Iron kwandem, bring them, I buy them. So these are very informal, ways of generating most of these wastes. But for the purpose of this presentation, we are looking beyond plastic waste and metals. And that's why we have carefully christened this to be waste beyond plastics and metals. So Nigeria is growing waste generation. Urbanization and industrialization is a key factor. So agricultural and industrial waste resource are there. And then the untapped economic value. So it's important we have this at the back of our mind. And for those who have been following up in our various webinars, the various series, the monthly webinars, feel free to reach out to, our WastePro Global Alliance. They will definitely guide you more, give you all the necessary contact and information needed. The agencies of government are there. You can always approach them. In Nigeria, particularly in Rivers State, you have NESRA's office at D-Line. You also have NESRA in all the states, especially where you have federal secretariat. Most of them do have offices there, at least liaison office. So feel free to reach out through WastePro Global Alliance, and be rest assured that your concerns will be well addressed. Next slide, please. Okay, moving beyond plastics and metals. And so what are the emerging streams, waste streams? Number one, agricultural waste. I've talked about the electronic waste briefly, which is commonly known as the e-waste. Then we talk about the used tires and rubbers. These are everywhere. You can find them everywhere. Even the tires, the used tires are everywhere. And most people do not know that you can make a whole lot of money from gathering these tires and even selling to the recyclers. Or if you are a recycler, you convert these tires to other resources, that can generate money, give you money. And then we talk about the construction and demolition waste. We talk about the textile waste, the used lubricating oil, the waste cooking oil, the healthcare waste, lithium-ion batteries, especially in this era of solar energy, green energy. We talk about the solar panels, the sewage sludge, the food waste. So for want of time, we're not going to discuss in details all of this. We will limit ourselves to maybe about 3 or 4, if time permits, maybe 5, and then we move on. So it's important we know that the limitations of conventional recycling, the emerging waste streams, the high value resource recovery opportunities are there. The next slide. Okay. First, we will take the agricultural waste opportunities. If you see the pictures there is hardly no community in our rural areas that do not have one form of agricultural produce or the other. As far as this is concerned, you have cassava being processed. And some persons peel this cassava, and then throw away what they call or regard as waste. But in our industry, they are not waste. These, so-called waste can as well be used for other things. Talk about the major feedstock. We talk about rice husk. We talk about cassava peels, the palm kernel shell, and so on and so forth. Even the sugarcane bagaces, they are there. The coconut shells, they are all there. Then we have the high value products, the biochars, the activated charcoal. Even charcoal, you go to our export points, that's the wharfs or what, ports. You go there, you see a lot of activities, and you'll be surprised to see people putting together charcoal for export. They're on high demand, but some people regard charcoal as waste. So it's important we have this at the back of our minds. Then we have the organic fertilizer. We talk about the animal feeds, then the biogas, and of course the industrial chemicals. They are all part of the high value products that you can readily key in and make profits. Then what are the investment opportunities? You have the biomass power generation, we have the biofuel production, the carbon sequestration. I told us the other time that in Europe, people now capture carbon, what they call carbon capturing. The carbon capturing, you just see people store it in what looks like, boxes, and they make money out of it. And certain vehicles are now being produced in such a way that the carbon that comes out from these vehicles don't just go into the atmosphere, but rather they are stored in a container. As the vehicle is moving, it's being stored there. The carbon that is being generated is being stored in this container, and then when it's filled, it will be displayed on the dashboard. You just pull it out, and that is money you sell. Although in this part of the world, we are yet to get to that level. We're talking about carbon capturing. Then the export grade activated carbon. I've talked about this. Then the organic fertilizer manufacturing. These are investment opportunities as far as agricultural waste is concerned. So it's important we have this at the back of our mind. Thank you. The next slide, please. The electronic waste, commonly known as the e-waste. You have the major sources, which has to do with the various things enlisted there. We talk about the urban mining, because when we talk about urban mining, most people think you just have a site in the urban area where people dig. No, the urban mining is nothing other than getting across to all these gadgets and extracting valuable, materials. Some have gold deposit in it, some have some precious metals. So you can see from the pictures, where these valuable economic components of these gadgets, this electronic waste, are being extracted. That is what we call the urban mining. So people extract these components and they make money. I recall that many years back, some persons were moving around the cities of Port Harcourt, Lagos, Kano, and even Ibadan, looking for olden days, wall clock. Those wall clocks that make a lot of noise and all that. And what were they looking for? They were looking for precious metals in them. I remember some persons even telling some friends around that even if it means paying as much as 10,000-20,000 naira, they are ready to pay as a then, because they've discovered that in it is deposited precious metal, gold. When you have just 1 carat of gold, you'll be shocked the amount of money you make out of it. You'll be shocked. So now people are becoming wiser, people are becoming knowledgeable. So this platform gives us the opportunity to be more informed, so that you now know exactly where to put your money and make profit. So if you come into this industry, the assurance for profit is guaranteed. So one of the ways you can make money without much stress is this urban mining, talking about the electronic waste, the e-waste, where you recover very valuable metals, component recovered, and of course sometimes you refurbish and sometimes you just sell to those who want to refurbish or maybe recycle for other use. The next slide, please. Here we're talking about used tires and rubbers. Used tires and rubbers. We talk about the chrome rubber, the pyrolysis oil. The other time, the professor who anchored one of the monthly webinars talked about pyrolysis. Yeah, and I really gained a lot. And I thank God for the convener of this, program, Mr. David Idakpo, who also threw a lot of light on this pyrolysis. Now, talking about pyrolysis, it's slightly different from what we call thermal desorption units. Thermal desorption units. Why thermal desorption units focus on recovering oil, and then the other can be converted into other whatever comes out. Pyrolysis is an entire process. It's its way of operation, how it's completely burns the whatever you feed into it. Say for instance, the tire. If you feed in tire into pyrolysis machine, definitely you will see the product. You see the product come out just as I have shown us here. You see the tire on the first picture. These tires were loaded in that pyrolysis, and then look at what came out. That's a different product. It has completely, shredded the tires into that, more like in a granular form. Now, what can be done? What can one make out of this product? The answer is very simple. You can now convert this product into stones. These floor stones. You just mix it with other chemicals, you get a mold, and then you convert them to work, can serve as a stones for walkway and all of that. So that is it. The next slide. Okay, glass recycling. The glass recycling is one way you can also make money if you are involved in it. In our last webinar, somebody asked the question, and I did mention that there are many ways you can convert one product, from one level to the other. Now, for glass, we all know that it's one of the few materials that can be recycled without significant loss of quality. We all know that. And then, what are their major sources? You have the beverage bottles, you have the food containers, talk about the pharmaceutical bottles, and of course the automotive glasses. Our vehicles do have glasses, the windscreen, the mirror, and all of that. So you can extract these glasses from vehicles that have been abandoned and thrown away, and then you convert them. And what are their end products? Number one, you can come up with new bottles out of even glasses that came from vehicles. You talk about the fiberglass, we talk about the ceramic tiles, and of course it can also serve as decorative products. So these are the end products of glass. And what are their benefits? One, it reduces energy consumption, it lowers green gas energy emission, and of course it's a conversion. It can serve as raw material for other products, and then reduces landfill space. The challenges we have, especially the challenge we have in Lagos, particularly in Ojota area, where you see, it's horrible. The mountainous waste that is there begging for attention, even to the extent that the waste trucks, numbering well over 500, are all loaded with waste and nowhere to dump. And they're all queued there for weeks and months. Why? Because most of the valuable materials are just there. And we are yet to get to the point where we get these materials, convert them to other things, and make money. So the key message as far as glass recycling tonight is concerned is that it supports sustainable manufacturing while creating profitable industrial supply chain. So I want to encourage all those who are listening that glass bottle recycling is a profit, venture. It's a profit-making venture. So I encourage you to think of these various waste streams. We've just mentioned about 3 or 4. So the next slide, please. So if you are not busy and you want to get yourself involved in this waste beyond plastics and metals, I encourage you to think of, doing business in these areas. Any of them. I've just concluded on this glass recycling. You can be involved in the collection and sorting. You collect, sort them, and then you sell. You can also be involved in remelting them, thereby getting new products. You can also remelt and then you transform them into ties, and then you have the closed loop glass recycling. So these are various ways of making money from these emerging waste streams. Now, where the money is. Number one, we've talked about the waste stream, the investment opportunity, and of course the potential products. We've talked about the agricultural waste. The biomass processing is the opportunity. Then the products you likely get, the biochar, the fertilizer, the biogas, the copper, and of course gold and silver. Now we'll talk about the e-waste. Okay, the urban mining, I've mentioned that, and of course copper, silver, and palladium are things you may likely get. The used tires, pyrolysis, I talked about that, the rubber recovery, carbon black, oil, steel, and all that. The used oil, you go into re-refining, you get base oil. Base oil is very expensive these days. A drum of base oil, the cost, if they tell you, is mind-blowing. So if you're able to gather reasonable quantity of base oil, you have a lot of money. And then the food waste, the anaerobic digestion, then the product, biogas and fertilizer, the batteries, critical mineral recovery. You talk about the lithium, the nickel, and the cobalt. Then the solar panels. Today, Nigeria is gaining traction as far as solar energy is concerned. And so you expect that this solar component, the panels, the batteries, and other accessories, from time to time, they die. And when they die, you can as well get them and convert them to other, use that will be beneficial, to you and also to the economy, to the environment. So we talk about the glass, the aluminum, and the silicon. These are products that can be recovered from solar panel. Of course, the construction sites, things you'll be looking out for, the aggregates, the road base, and all of that. Next slide, please. The most attractive opportunity, the high potential, we're talking about the agricultural biomass. We talk about the e-waste, the used lubricating oil, the food organic waste, waste tires, batteries, and solar panels. The next slide, please. All right. Specialized recycling business. I've mentioned all of this, but let me just, run through. Under the waste stream, you have the used oil, the tires, the e-waste, the food, agricultural waste, glass, textile, construction, batteries, solar panels. The businesses that you can readily, get yourself involved are underneath there. You can see against each of these waste streams. You can see. The next slide, please. Okay, what makes the business profitable? I think most of us would want to, ask or know. Before investing, an entrepreneur should ask few questions. Here I've been able to come up with 5 questions. 1, the feedstock. Where will the waste come from? I've told us that these wastes are everywhere within our neighborhood, in our places of abode, in our workplaces, even on the road. The wastes are everywhere. But the question is, will you be well dressed, going for a function, and you see waste on the road and you're picking? The answer is no. When you do that, people will see you as someone who is mentally unstable. You see a young man, well dressed, maybe on suit, and then because you want to be involved in this industry, and you want to make money, and then you now begin to pick this waste as you're going for a function. I mean, it doesn't make sense. So we have strategies. One of the strategies is that you can recruit young people who will go all out to get this waste for you. And when these wastes are gathered and you have a reasonable volume, you can now either sell, resell, or you recycle if you do have the recycling plant. So these wastes are everywhere. The feedstock are everywhere. Then in terms of volume, is there enough waste to operate continuously? I've just told us here that this waste, you cannot exhaust the waste we generate because of the number of factors. Our population, the industrialization, that we're all experiencing, and of course, the technologies that are that have come, So it's inexhaustible. You cannot. Then what about technology? Can it be processed economically? Of course, the answer is yes. Then the off-stick. Who will buy the recovered product? Nigeria is a huge market. Very huge market. Whatever you produce will certainly be bought, no matter the volume, no matter the quantity. So, does this project remain profitable after collection, logistics, processing, labor, energy, and financing costs? Yes, this project is profitable. And so we must have that at the back of our mind. The next slide, please. Okay, the case studies. What Africa is already doing. I mentioned, about 5 countries. Talking about Ghana, South Africa, Rwanda, Kenya, and of course, our dear nation, Nigeria. And what are their case studies? Number 1, Nigeria. We talk about the Hinkley recycling. The waste stream there is the solar and the e-waste. And what is the model? It's collection and recycling. So the key lesson there is you build collection network around dispersed waste. The next is Kenya. The case study there is Delight and Take Back. What is the waste stream? Solar products and batteries. What about the model? It's a producer take back. There's what we call EPR. That's extended producer responsibility. And so we now have EPRON, EPRON. So you have extended producers responsibility of Nigeria. So there is an organization known as EPRON in Nigeria. And they train people. They also enlighten you more on how to be involved in this, industry. And at the end of the day, they also support you through the various government agencies like NISRE. They support you, encourage you to stand, firm in this line of business. So what is the key lesson there? You have the incentives can drive reverse logistics. Then Rwanda, what is the case study? You have the EnviroServe Rwanda, which their waste stream basically is the e-waste. They do formal collection, dismantling, and recycling. Now the key lesson there is that government and private sector have come together to build a formal recycling ecosystem. Then South Africa, you have Redisa. Then they focus on used tires. The industrial funded EPR, I've just mentioned EPR here, which has to do with the extended producer responsibility. Then you talk about the tire recovery. Then what is the lesson? Producer responsibility can finance collection and recycling. Here in Nigeria, they are in partnership with NESRE. Talking about, we call it EPRON, the producer responsibility. So if you have the opportunity of being trained by EPRON, at the end of the training, they will introduce you to NESRE. NESRE will now see what they can do based on what area of this industry you want to focus on or you want to major in. Then we talk about the Ghana experience. Talk about the GMAMOD, the biocommute, and their waste stream is the e-waste and lead acid battery. So what's the model that is being used there? Talk about the formalization and resource recovery. The lesson there, more like take home, is that they are integrating informal collection, and then creating job opportunities. And of course, while that is being done, the environment is being made healthy and all that. So it's important we have this at the back of our minds. Next slide, please. Okay, what Nigeria can learn. 5 lessons from the African market. Number 1, collection is a business. I've said this time and time again. Mere collection, you are into business. Some persons have dumps, what they call dumps. What do? They just sit back, mobilize people, young people, to go all out and bring this, all manner of wastes to their dump. And then they do what they call sorting. As soon as they are done sorting, they start selling them in their categories. So Nigeria needs professionals, in this industry, particularly in the area of e-waste, tire, used oil, food waste, batteries, and agricultural residue. Then consumers need incentives. A case study is Kenya's solar take back, experience. How does it work? You have solar accessories, solar panels, solar batteries, and all of that, inverter batteries, you now sell back. You take it, gather them, and sell back. Kenya is already doing that That's what they call the Kenya Solar Take Back, project. That demonstrates the power of financial, incentives and convenient collection points. Then the third one we are looking at is government can catalyze investment. We're talking of what Nigeria can learn, what we can do, arising from the lessons from these African countries we've mentioned, what they are doing currently, where they are. So, our government can catalyze investments. Rwanda demonstrates how policy, public financing, and private sector participation can establish recycling infrastructure. So Nigeria can learn from there. Nigeria can key into what Rwanda is currently doing, and that can be done through policy formulation and, of course, the implementation. Very, very important. Then the fourth one is the EPR can create predictable financing. The South African tire experience demonstrates that. How this producer responsibility mechanism can support collection and recycling infrastructure. Then the last but not the least, which is the fifth point there, the informal operators are part of the solution. Yes, I did mention that even these informal collectors who go around telling you, I don't condemn, bring them, I buy. They are also part of the solution that we are looking for. Because without this set of persons, you can't get these waste, streams. You can't get these materials. Because these people go further into areas that are unimaginable to get these materials, and then they make money, of course, out of it. So Ghana has demonstrated the importance of bringing existing collectors and dismantlers into a safer, regulated value chain. Very, very important. The next slide, please. So we have a lot to learn. Next slide, please. As far as these five African countries example, what they have done and what they are still doing. Next slide, please. Okay. Now we talked about SWOT analysis. Okay. The roadmap for Nigeria. Okay, from waste to wealth. Now, as of today, Nigeria is basically into collection, transportation, and the dump and dispose. That's basically what we are doing. And we are saying no, we should put a stop to this. Or rather, we should transit from this system, which I have told us before is a linear economy, where you just buy something, you use it, and at the end of the day, you dump. Rather than do that, you now transit into reducing it or separating it. You recover, you reuse, you recycle, and all of that. Transform it into other valuable use rather than discarding. So I believe that in 2030, which is a vision being talked about, that waste will move from just being waste to secondary resource, and then from secondary resource, it will now transit to manufacturing, and then from there, jobs are being created, and then investment, people are, will go into investment, and of course, whatever comes out of this, process can be exported to other nations. And when you export, what do you get? You gain money. That's foreign exchange. You make money. So the 5 strategic pillars we'll be looking at as far as the roadmap for Nigeria, talking about from waste to wealth. Number 1, policy and regulation. Number 2, infrastructure and technology. Then private investment and financing. We'll talk about the markets and industrial offtake. And then finally, the people, the and all that. So it's very, very important we have this at the back of our mind. Next slide, please. Can I have the slide, please? Can I have the slide, please?
Wait, I'm coming.
Okay. Okay, while that is going on, it's important we talk about the SWOT analysis. If you're there, let's talk about the strength, weakness, and opportunities, and of course, threats. We're done with the roadmap for Nigeria.
Okay,
I'd
I
like to,
think we, okay, for the SWOT analysis, right? You can just briefly explain it to us. I don't think it's on the
yes.
slide. You can just
Okay,
explain it to
fine.
us. Yes, sir.
The SWOT analysis, as far as this process is concerned, the talking about the emerging waste streams. We talk about the strength, the weakness, the opportunities, and the threats. Number one, in terms of the strength, we have abundant feedstock that you cannot take away. We have abundant feedstock, and we have the market. We have large markets arising from the population. Whatever you are able to produce or you're able to gather, there is market waiting for it. And then we have existing recovery networks. These are strengths as far as this is concerned, as far as what we're talking about is concerned. Then what are the weaknesses? We have talked about it. The poor collection system is a weakness. We have infrastructural gap. We have technology gap also. Of course, you know that Nigeria is evolving as far as technology is concerned. And then if you want to put up a recycling plant, it requires high capital. So it's a challenge. It's a weakness. And so while we are also looking at the weakness or weaknesses, we should also be looking at the opportunities. So what are the opportunities? You have the green manufacturing. You have the job creation. You talk about the carbon financing. And of course, the new recycling industry. So these are opportunities waiting for anyone who is interested. And then what are the threats? You have commodity price volatility. You have weak enforcement. You have financing constraints. Then unsafe informal practices. And finally, like I said before now, technology, deficiency. So these are threats. These are threats. Very, very important. Next slide, please. Okay. In conclusion, I want to let us know, ladies and gentlemen, that as we conclude, we should understand that the real opportunity is not simply to keep our cities clean. As far as we are concerned, it's not about keeping the cities clean, but it's about building industries around the resources that are being, that we see around us. Then we have to see that these products, these residuals, particularly the agricultural residues, can become energy. Biochars and industrial materials also. The electronic waste can also become a source of valuable metals, like I said. The used oil can also be re-refined. Food waste and all of that. There's so many of them. So the question before us as a nation, and even the Africa as a whole, is therefore not whether there is enough waste. The answer we have told us severally that there is. The question is whether we have the vision, the investment, the technology. What about the policy? And of course, the entrepreneurial courage to unlock these values. So government cannot do it alone. Investors cannot also do it alone. Even the entrepreneurs cannot do it alone. Even those in the academia cannot do it alone. So it calls for what? Collective participation. There has to be what they call partnership. We work together to ensure that we all succeed. If we get this right, I'm sure we will not only reduce waste, we will create businesses, create job opportunities. Of course, there will be enough industrial input, and then we will now begin to talk about exports, and cleaner environment. So let us move from waste management to resource management, from resource management to circular industrialization, and of course, ultimately from waste to wealth. Next slide, please. The call to action. The call to action. In summary, because I do not want to go through all that has been written there. Number one, let's stop dumping. That's my, call to action to all of us who are here listening, and indeed all of us who might tune into this, YouTube. Stop dumping and let's start recovering, start investing, and start creating wealth. So it's on this note, I want to thank every one of you who have taken time to listen to this monthly webinar, this August edition. And I've told us here that waste is an economic resource. The opportunity extends beyond plastics and metals. And technology enables us, of course, to recover these valuable substances or materials that are in these waste streams. And then finally, Nigeria can become a circular economy hub for Africa. So it's on this note I want to thank the team of WastePro Global Alliance for this opportunity to speak again in this August edition. And I want to thank every one of you who have taken time to tune in. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you very much, Dr. Charles, for the wonderful presentation. Thank you very much. And like I said before, we are indeed in the presence of an industry expert with over 25 years of experience. So thank you very much, Dr. Charles. So we'll be moving straight to the next section, which is the questions and answer. So we have a question. So I'm going to be reading it out loud. So the question is, oil lubrication is rarely part of the waste conversation. For someone looking to tap into this specific niche, how is this used oil actually collected and processed so that it becomes valuable again?
Okay, that's a very, very brilliant question. Now, let's take, for instance, you have, for those of you who are in the oil and gas industry, if you have drill cuttings, I want to take it from there. And then these drill cuttings are containerized and moved to a facility. And I did mention that we have thermal desorption units. And then if you move it to thermal desorption unit facility, then it's being processed. And what goes on there is that it's being subjected to a very high temperature, and then the oily component that is mixed with this, sand called cotton is now being extracted. And then when it's extracted, what comes out at the other end of that thermal desorption unit would just be like hyperfine structure, sand that is just in hyperfine structure. Now, both ways, the solid discharge and the liquid discharge are both useful. For the oil, you can now sell. That serves as what I told us here is base oil. It can be sold. It can be reused. It can go back to the industry for use. Probably after, maybe if they need to further treat or centrifuge or do other measures to at least beef it up in terms of the chemical compositions and all of that. So that is one aspect. Now, for those who probably might be looking at maybe other substances, even coconut, since we're talking about talking about waste beyond plastics and metals. Even coconut, say for instance, you can extract the liquid, the fluid from this coconut, and it turns out to be money because they have need of this oil where they use it to produce other products like soap, like cream, and other things. So that is how you extract oil, because the question has to do with how do we collect this oil. I've just given you an instance for the cottons, and then I've also told us about coconut. You extract, and of course, when you filter and treat, it can be used. It can be sold. It can also be converted, through other chemical mixtures and all that into other products. So that is how this oil is being generated, which some persons regard it as base oil. So I'm sure I've been able to address this question.
Thank you.
The fellow who asked this question.
All right. Thank you very much, sir, for the brilliant answer you gave. So the next question is: people run away from specialized waste because of strict regulations. But how can a smart entrepreneur use strict regulatory compliance as a competitive advantage to get better funding and buyers? Should I recap?
Yes, please recap.
Okay. People run away from specialized waste because of strict regulations. But how can a smart entrepreneur use strict regulatory compliance as a competitive advantage to get better funding and buyers?
Very brilliant question. Now, when we talk about strict compliance or regulation, now, we are used to cutting corners in our businesses. Now, if you want to be involved in waste, recovery of resources or materials from all these waste streams we're talking about, you must first of all decide which area you want to measure, and then ask yourself questions. What are the regulatory requirements for this area of business? Do you have the basic documentation? Do you have a registered company with CAC? If you do you have the necessary regulatory permits? If yes, beautiful. Now you now begin to do your business. Now, when you start doing your business, be rest assured that no government agency will come, seeing that you are complying fully with all that is required to do this business. Nobody is coming to disturb you. And more so, if you're making money and you're remitting your tax, accordingly, nobody will disturb you. These regulations are there to streamline activities. It also helps to differentiate between those who are really in the business and the quack. So it's important you have this at the back of your mind. If you want to do this business, there are basic requirements. You don't just see that, okay, there are people are gathering waste, and then you start gathering waste and you start dismantling and all of that. No, you first of all establish the fact that you are a corporate body. And having established the fact that you are a corporate body, that is, you have registered your company with Corporate Affairs Commission and you have received all the necessary documentations, you now proceed to the next level of getting permits. Recently, we wanted to do a job for a company. We didn't have the permit. What did we do? We quickly approached Nesri. We asked Nesri, please, can you help us with what it will take or what it will require to get this kind of permit for this kind of job? And they say yes. They gave us the requirements. We met the requirements. And after a period of less than 1 week or so, they sent us the permit. With this permit, we are now able to do this job. Now, doing this job, there is no way any government person will come to challenge you or disturb you as you do this job. Nobody will disturb you. So it's important you have this at the back of your mind, that you must do things right. And if you're doing things right, nobody will disturb you as far as you're on the right track. So in this industry, we don't encourage shortcuts. In this industry, we don't encourage, cutting corners. This industry is rich because the volume of waste is crazy, is mind-blowing. Then the recycling is very low. So if you're coming in, you must do the right thing, and then you be rest assured that as you're making your profit and you're remitting your taxes, no government agency will disturb you. So I'm sure I've been able to answer this question, however, to your satisfaction. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for that wonderful breakdown. Um, so we'll be moving straight to the last question, and which is, construction sites generate massive amounts of rubble and used machinery oil. Where is the real profit hiding in these two waste streams?
Construction sites having a lot of rubbles. Did you mention oil?
Yes, yes. Okay, so the question is, construction sites generate massive amounts of rubble and used
Yeah.
machinery oil. Where is the real profit hiding in these two waste streams?
Beautiful. Construction site has a lot of materials that you extract and you make a lot of money. Let me start with the rubbles. Now, you see some informal sector practitioners going to sites, maybe collapse building, and then breaking the blocks, the casts, the concrete, and then extracting metals. These metals that are being extracted, I'm sure you know, they sell them. And when they sell them, they make money. That is one. The concretes are also gathered and they are sold. They can be used for further building, like land fill. They can also use it for reinforcement material, maybe for cast and all of that on surface. So these are areas that you can also look into and make money as far as the construction, the materials are concerned. Then coming to the oil, these construction sites cannot run effectively without heavy duties. These heavy duties run on oil. You have the engine oil, you have the hydraulic, you have all of them. Now, from time to time, these oils are being, they change oil from this earth moving equipment, be it bulldozer, grader, self-loader, trucks of all kinds, be it trailer and all of dump trucks, and the volume of oil that comes out in course of this servicing can be stored, like I told us. It can be stored. You store it, and when it gets to a certain volume, you can sell. You can sell and make money. So I encourage you, if you, the fellow who has asked this question, if you are interested in construction site as one of the, waste streams beyond plastics and metals, you are in the right place. You are in the right place. I remember buying base oil from someone when I needed it so dearly. And he told me that he doesn't have any other business other than oil. He gathers these different kinds. If you go there, you see drums everywhere, different and with different labels. And I went there and I bought one drum because I needed it. So when you gather this oil, don't see it as a waste. Don't just discard it, pour it away. No. In fact, let me just share with us. What I'm beginning to do now is that all the oil that come out from my vehicle, I take it back from the mechanic. I take it back as they discharge the oil, and put fresh one or new one. I take the old one, put it in that same container, and I go home. Now I have a place in my office where I empty them. And you know what? This oil, if you don't want to re-refine, I'm not into re-refining, but what do? I sell to people who are into construction, building construction. Some of this wood they use in roofing, they can't roof without applying this, condemned oil on them. And they buy them. In case you don't know, people go all out in search of this oil. And you'll be shocked that just 4 liters, you'll be selling as much as 1,000, 2,000. This is something ordinarily you would have. And then you look at the volume. If you have maybe stored up to a reasonable quantity, and then you keep selling to 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, before you know it, you've made up to 10,000, 50,000, 100,000. And these are things ordinarily one would have just thrown away. And in throwing it away, you are not just harming the environment. You are not only harming the environment, you are losing money. You're losing money. So it's important we understand what we're doing. That the era in which we are now is no longer linear economy. The message we are preaching here is that we should all migrate or move from linear economy to circular economy, where everything called waste, you look at the value that is in that waste and take advantage of that value to make more money for yourself, for your family, and of course for the society, the benefit of the society. Because if I discard this oil waste, this waste, engine oil say for instance, and I have ended up not contributing to those who need these materials. So it's important we understand that, very very important, that every waste have its own value. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Charles, for all the wonderful answers you've given to us tonight. God bless you, and we hope to see you another time. So, before we end today's session, I'll be calling on our convener, Mr. David Idako, to please give us a quick remark.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Our able doctor and industry expert. The years, they said the gray hair is not for decoration. It has a lot of experiences to share, a lot of wisdom, a lot of, inspiration to pass to the upcoming. We cannot say less. This is a great session we have had tonight. This is what people are paying so much to get. The value from this session tonight, in fact, just like we have said in the topic, is beyond plastic and metals. It's beyond just the normal waste we are used to. This is like we digging deep into what many persons or many of us have not really thought about. And these are hidden treasures. So, sir, what can we say? We can't even pay you. We can only just thank you first of all. And we can only say that God is going to give you a very long life. You will be here for a very long time for this impact to continue, because we must build the next generation. We must impact people and raise entrepreneurs who will begin to go for the informal. What people are not ready to go into, but has treasures hidden in them. He said treasures in earthen vessels. For those who goes to church or Christians, you have heard of treasures in earthen vessels. You know, there are some beautiful things in ugly places that you may not want to go to. And there you have the money, you have the gold, you have all the silver and the diamonds that we are pursuing. Outside oil and gas, this is another treasure that we should begin to look at. And what we are doing here is exposing us to what is available and what is possible. We have seen and we have heard examples of how this is already happening in different countries, even in Africa. Nigeria need to tap in, and we need to take a cue and do likewise. So, sir, we appreciate you for this wonderful session. Want to
Thank you.
thank you because definitely we are bringing you back again, and we cannot just, in fact, we can't exhaust what is available, that the resources that you have to deliver to us. There's so much information and the capacity building that this is exposing us to. A number of people here, looking at the questions you have received tonight, you will know that people are paying close attention, very
Correct.
close attention to every point, to every slide, and to every communication you are delivering. For everything you have said tonight, people have already, uh, they have value, serious value. A lot of impact has been made, and we want to thank you for your time and for everything you have put in to deliver this to us, the resources that has gone into this, and this is huge. We cannot even thank you enough. And to our audience and followers and viewers and those who are participating in this training, we want you to also understand that this is not just for a head knowledge. We need you to take practical step, take action. We are here to support, we are here to guide, and we are here to help you, achieve those dreams. For those of us who are ready to go into these businesses, you are not just going into this business to make profit. You are also going into this business to help the environment. The
Correct.
environment is already overwhelmed. And we need to take out this waste and convert them to something that is now useful and also bringing money, creating employment, and putting food on the table of many. So let's support you. Come forward, let's discuss. We'll consult for many persons. We are doing a lot here, and we are hoping that your own project will start. It should be the next. So, sir, we
Okay.
thank you, and for all our viewers, thank you for joining tonight. Just know that this is a monthly engagement, and we hope that you will keep coming again and again for the value that is here. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I also thank your team for this wonderful work you're doing, the team of WastePro Global Alliance Foundation. May God continue to bless you, the awareness you're creating, especially as it affects, you know, the environment, the people, and all that. So thank you, and God bless you. Thank you, our teaming viewers and listeners. God bless you for finding time to come on board and to be part of this monthly webinar. We look forward to seeing you all again in the next edition next month. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you very
sir.
much. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. So we'll be
Thank you.
calling it a night. See you next month and have a good night rest. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, and bye bye.